Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Cryptix bringing to you another Vanguard 0 video today, and today we're going to be talking about the set 2 and 3 meta as well as the upcoming meta for set 4, which we should receive in about 2 weeks at the time of recording this video. It's not set in stone, we don't have a date for it yet, but that's the expected date given that we got set 3 a month early alongside set 2. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. I'm just going to be going over my thoughts. If you have different opinions, go ahead and share those in the comments. The whole reason I'm doing this is because I saw a different fights video and I wanted to share my thoughts as well as share what my thoughts are going to be for the set 4 meta. So we're just going to be kind of placing these in a tier list, and that'll be about it. I'll kind of go over each deck and what I think its power levels are, pros and cons and stuff like that. So hope you enjoy. Let's go ahead and get into it. First off, starting off with Ambers. Now this was a really strong deck in the Japan server until their main grade 3 Amber Dragon Eclipse got a nerf. His previous skill was Counterblast 2, and it will gain this following ability, and whenever you hit a Vanguard with him, you get to retire 2 of your opponent's rear guards. So that was just essentially Counterblast 1, retire 1. Obviously you had to have the 2 Counterblasts to pay for the retire at the time, but it was a very strong ability, and you could double up on it. So if your opponent gave you 4 damage or you had 4 open damage, you could essentially just Counterblast 4 and retire 4 of their rear guards. It was really strong, and it had to be nerfed. So we're sitting here with the nerf, and he is now a Counterblast 2 to retire 1 of your opponent's rear guards on hit. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and shove that guy right there because it's not very good. You'll see it come up in ladder play occasionally, and they do have some strong aspects. I mean, of course their Vanguard's 11k. They have the 12k intercepts, which are quite strong, but just not enough to carry the deck. So next up we got Blaukluger. I've already done a deck profile on this, and it is by far the best budget deck, so we're just going to go ahead and place it probably right about here. There's not much else to say other than it is a very strong budget deck that can multi-attack. It's just super strong, so we'll leave it at the top of B tier. Next up is CEO. Now CEO is kind of a different build than everything else. I know you kind of run her alongside Imperial Daughter, and we're going to take a look at Imperial Daughter here in a second, but CEO, I've seen a lot of players stick with her and Apollon and the Tsukiyomi, I think her name is. Still a very strong deck. We actually just held a 0 tournament like my locals did over a Discord, and the CEO decks still won, CEO and Tom, so it's still pretty strong. It's lacking a bit of ability, but we'll go ahead and place it here for now as we fill up our B tier. Next up is Good Stuff Kaguro. So this is the Dragonic Overlord Blockade Waterfall deck. It's very good. Was very good in the set 1 meta as well. Obviously the top dog. We're gonna place it in A tier for now. Next up we have Enigma Storm. This is surprisingly strong. The crit pressure from this deck is like very good. And restanding Vanguards because of Commander Laurel. Dayusha is included in this, so that's why I don't have Dayusha in here as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and place him right behind Blaukluger for now, just because he, that static crit pressure every turn is very strong, and that's what makes some of the other decks that we're going to be taking a look at very strong in this meta as well. So I'm going to put him right behind Blaus for now. Garmore's deceptively strong. This deck has a lot of defensive capabilities, and its offensive capabilities can be quite aggressive as well with all the superior calling that it does. And it just builds boards that have quite a bit of numbers, so I think that it's in a better spot than a lot of people anticipated it to be. So I'm gonna put it probably right about here, and just behind Enigma in front of CEO. Spikes are super strong. I love this deck. They, you know, multi-attack like crazy. They build huge numbers. Like, there's not much else to say about them. They combo off. They're really fun to play. I mean, obviously, you know, that doesn't affect the meta if they're fun to play or not, but they're just really strong currently. So I'm gonna put them in A tier. I'm kind of tempted to put them in front of Kaguro, honestly. I mean, like, if you've got the right build, they just, you know, pop off, and they're also gonna be really good whenever we get the limit break stuff. So like, I know Japan just had its Grandblue event, its second Grandblue event, so we should be seeing a second Spike event next month. And Dudley Emperor is a really strong card on paper, so we'll see how it holds up to the meta. Now, they have a lot more powerful decks out over there currently, including, you know, set 4, which we're getting ready to take a look at, the MLB, Dragonic Overlord, the N, and Shadow set, and those are still kind of really good decks in Japan right now. So I don't know how it'll hold up to them, but I know that the Superior Calling only gets more insane. Safe Read just gets pushed out of the deck and you run Dudley Emperor instead. So it's very strong though. I really like it a lot. It does a lot of multi-attacking, and it's cheaper than some of the skills to retire cards like in Kaguro. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it above Good Stuff Kaguro just because they're strong. They hit numbers, and you know, the one thing, oh, they recycle heals too, so that's like another big thing that they have that Kaguro doesn't, is they can put their heals back in the deck, and they rely on a lot of grade 3 rear guards, which is probably one of the worst parts because it's not that defensive. However, you can make it kind of defensive with some of the superior call skills that they have. So I like it quite a bit. I think it is just a tad bit better than Good Stuff Kaguro, so we're gonna leave it there. Next up, Tsukiyomi. Obviously, very good deck. I'd say right now it's at the top of A. It's significantly better than Spikes and Kaguro just because you're able to manipulate your drive checks. I mean, you guys watched my deck profile on Tsukiyomi, so you're able to manipulate your drive checks. You're able to draw a ton of cards. It's got great defensive capabilities. You can run stands to help get through double intercepts. It's just really good. Knowing your stack is really good. So next up we've got Golden Beast Tamer. This deck is also deceptively strong. In the right hands, I'm gonna say that it is just behind Enigma and B, just because it multi-attacks like crazy. It falls short in the numbers department, but you can take an opponent from, you know, very low damage like 1 or 2 to 6 very quickly using this deck, given you have the right amount of luck. It is super strong, and in the right hands, with the right build, you know, if you've got your Purple Trapezist and your Nightmare Doll Alice, those are really key cards that help kind of push the deck overboard, and Golden Beast Tamer is your main ride target. But I think that it is deceptively strong, and people have a lot to worry about from that deck if they were going up against a good, complete Pale Moon deck with a competent player behind the helm of it. Next up we've got Imperial Daughter. Just go ahead and put her at the bottom of B, maybe even above CEO, just because this deck is just really annoying. People call it a control deck, and it sort of is, it sort of isn't. It's not really a control deck by definition of control decks. In comparison to control decks in other games, you're obviously not playing blue magic or blue black, you know, with Imperial Daughter. I mean, obviously you still get, you know, the classic OTT scry abilities, but the main purpose of this deck is just to be a defensive like tank. You know, she's a 21k Vanguard defensively, so your opponents will have difficulty pushing through that, especially since a lot of decks don't make that 21 threshold or even 26, because they hit you once, you're just going to go to 26 and they're not going to be able to hit you anymore. So, you know, set up double intercepts, they take out your double intercepts. Imperial Daughter gets her skills, so she goes to 21k, they hit you once, you go to 26. If they've got, you know, a deck that multi-attacks like Block Luger or Safe Read or whatever, Safe Read is kind of an exception that will hit 26 fairly easily, especially with the Spec Brothers Assault Squad column with Skydiver and stuff like that. So that deck and Overlord, Tsukiyomi has a hard time hitting that like 21k, 26k. Enigman will almost likely never hit it unless they get triggers, and Blouse, if they get triggers, they can, you know, bust through it. Beast Tamer, not so much. Garmore will hit the 21k, but I doubt it'll hit 26. This deck, forget it. Eclipse, maybe if you're lucky with triggers. So basically what I'm saying is if you're not hitting triggers, you're probably not hitting Imperial Daughter, and they can kind of deck you out that way. It's just really annoying. So bottom of B seems okay for it. Baskirk, I am super tempted to put this in B, but the only thing that is saving it, honestly, is the ability to resurrect their intercepts every single turn. I think that Night Mist is a super strong card that will be able to carry Grandblue a little bit longer until we hit set 4. It's a decent, it's like an okay pick if you're going into the ladder. It was okay when it was, you know, the only event clan out and we just had the original Q4 set, but now that we've got these super strong decks ahead of it, oh, forget about it. Its defensive capabilities are the only thing that save it, and other than that, it's just kind of whatever, which is a shame because I like Grandblue. Grandblue's definitely in like my top 5 favorite clans, so it sucks to see, but it is what it is. Galahad, deceptively strong. Once again, I don't know whether to put it in front of Enigman or behind Enigman. I'm gonna put it over here. And the main reason is because it has that double crit pressure every turn, but also you can kind of mix the Galahad and the Garmore builds together to make this like combo, like defensive, offensive, rush kind of Royals play style, and it's super strong. I am like, my win ratio with Galahad is actually pretty solid. I would have to say I win way more often than I lose with this deck. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have like protagonist armor whenever I play it, but it's strong, and I've gotten my my stuff pushed in by a Galahad player several times. So I'm gonna say very good. Deceptively strong. I'm gonna put it right behind Blouse in front of Enigman, and the only reason I'm doing that is because Enigman loses its boost with Commander Laurel. So you know you're hitting for double crit, but you know it can bait PGs early on, and it's just okay. I think Galahad's just a little bit better. You get that guaranteed crit off pretty much every turn. Granted, you have the 2 counterblasts, and it's a lot of pressure. Even if you don't get the 2 crit, you're hitting for massive numbers, so it's very strong. Death Anchor. This deck is in a really weird spot right now. It wants to do certain things, but I don't know how well it does them. I don't know. It's so hard to say if it belongs in the bottom of B or the top of C. It really is a conundrum for sure, because I think it's slightly better than Amber's for sure, but I don't know if it's like C tier material just because Death Anger is strong, Anal Rose is strong. They've got retires and stuff like that. It does too many things, but it does not do the many things well. So I'd say high C for Death Anchor. Its one redeeming quality is that it is a super huge quality of life. Like, you get this and you get to beat all your character fights. You get to 3-star all your character fights for essentially free. I love it for that reason. But I think it is a bit stronger than Amber's, because Amber's is just, it's honestly doo-doo for real, if I have to be completely honest. And then, you know, Baskirk is just right behind it, so it's really hard to say, but I think I'll leave it in C for now. Perfect Riser, boom, only S tier deck right now. I don't care what anybody says, that deck is super strong. I know a lot of people will not agree with the fact that there is an S tier right now, but I think it's incredibly strong. Trans Riser, giving you card advantage, run 9 draws, super big card advantage, double crit every turn, does not care about defensive triggers, uses a Shurikaiser as a backup ride, so even if you don't hit your Perfect Riser, you can still do damage that way, and that's why I don't have a Shurikaiser on this list either, because both of the set 2 Nova decks use a Shurikaiser as a backup ride, so you know, I think that Risers is by far the best deck and will remain one of the top tier decks for a long time, as we saw with the Japanese meta. Riviere, well, not Riviere, just Bermuda in general. I didn't feel like copying a bunch of Bermuda images for all their like main decks. Garbage. Not even, I shouldn't say garbage, because C tier isn't garbage, it's still playable. There is no decks in Zero, in my opinion, that are just completely unplayable right now, so I think that Bermuda is definitely the weakest, because their bounce effect doesn't really help you out in Zero whatsoever, except for like maybe bouncing back some like grade 1s and stuff like that to hold on to your boosters, because you don't want to bounce your grade 2s or else you lose your defensive capability. They have a little bit of offensive pressure, but nothing that just sets them over the edge, in my opinion. I think they're just whatever. They're just not in a good place right now. They're another one of those clans that just has cards that do too many things and none of them well enough to be good. So that is our set 2 and 3 meta, in my opinion. I know there are some controversial picks on here and that some people may be upset with that, and that's okay. You can voice that in the comments below, or you can you know, kind of talk about it in the inevitable Facebook posts that I make to share this video. I'd love to hear your opinions on it. I don't think that anyone has a right or a wrong opinion unless their just stuff is completely all over the place. But let's go ahead and take a look at the set 4 meta. So as you can see, I've got all the old decks that we just put in, as well as the new decks that come out in set 4. So Ambers, that is our first like D tier deck. You can forget about it. Kaguro will not play that stuff at all, period, after this set comes out, unless you're playing super budget, but it's just whatever. Allow still pretty strong B tier. CEO C tier now, good stuff. Kaguro, high B, honestly, because once you get to this set, you've got the end, which is, we may shuffle some stuff around here at the end, but I'm gonna go and place it in S, simply because we're able to look at the longevity of all these decks and know the future of how they're gonna do. The end remains relevant for such a long time. It's just super strong. They get the counter chargers, they get like a pretty much guaranteed re-standoff every turn. Some turns you won't have, your Persona Blast, but they have a 13k Vanguard. A lot of these decks are not going to be able to, keep up with it. So I think it is incredibly strong. It's not even an opinion, honestly, it's just a fact. The end is one of the best decks. So Nigman Storm, C tier, it's just okay. Garmore, C tier. Seyfried, high B as well. Tsukiyomi, for the same reasons, gonna remain an A tier. I personally think it's one of the only A tier decks. There are a couple, but Golden Beast Tamer, honestly, C tier. We'll move Enigman in front of Garmore, because like I said, Garmore is super strong. Imperial Daughter, D tier. D tier. Galahad, probably low B. Maybe we'll put the Enigma in front of the Golden Beast Tamer. Then we get to MLB. This is where the debate actually starts, honestly, because you have MLB in the end. However, I think that MLB is just a bit more consistent. And I think that consistency is key in Vanguard. I think it's one of the most important things. I think the N is a really, really strong deck. It's a bit high rolly, but it has a really good MLB matchup. So they're kind of tied with each other in my opinion because they give and take. MLB is going to crush everything that isn't Kaguro. And they will still have good Kaguro matchups as well. But they're just gonna, you know, pretty much suffocate everything that isn't Kaguro, with the exception of maybe Shadows. They're just really, really consistent, really, really strong. They're always going to get their skills off pretty much. There are going to be very few times where they don't get their skill off. It's a very strong deck, and will remain the best deck for a while. Like, Japan still thinks that MLB is the best deck, alongside the end. And if you watch the Vanguard Zero Championships, everybody played MLB in the end, so they're going to remain relevant for a really, really long time. Death Anchor, D tier. Risers, still better than Tsukiyomi, but not in that S tier spot anymore. He gets pushed out by, you know, these two decks for sure. Shadows are a lot stronger in Zero than they were in the actual card game, so I think, you know, through a variety of buffs that they received, you know, Phantom Blaster Overlord is a lot better, Phantom Blaster Dragon is better, they generate lots of card advantage. I think they're going to be at the top of A. So overall, oh, I guess we should put Riviera in here, huh? Or not Riviera, just Bermuda in general. This is Bermuda in general, because I didn't want to put multiple images of Bermuda cards in this because it would just be redundant because they all do nothing. Yeah, bottom D tier. So as you can see, we've got like a nice little cascade going on here. This is what I think our set 4 meta is going to look like, mainly because we're able to look at the Japanese meta game from this era when this set was out, and it was just this set, and I think that this is how we're going to look. I'm kind of in between Shadows being S tier and A tier. I think that they're not, you know, over the edge strong like MLB in the end, but they do generate a lot of card advantage, and they also have a lot of crit pressure going on, so some of the, I think what sets them back is the resources that they have to spend to get some of their skills off. Like, retire 3 of your own rear guards, you're pretty much always going to retire your boosters. So that's probably the major setback for Shadows in my opinion. However, they're going to remain strong for a very, very long time. I think they're going to be like, you know, tier 1, tier 2 for quite some time. Especially after this meta, we've got more decks coming up that are really, really strong, and will kind of fall into this A and B category. I don't think anything falls into the S category, but this is definitely the meta where we've got, you know, these 5 decks are absolutely your best decks. The S tier column is just barely an S tier column. I debated on whether or not I should even make it because I know a lot of people are going like this, and I think that makes sense. However, just to like sheer like the amount of people that are playing these decks, and how they're just reigning as the top dogs in the current ranked ladders and all of the major tournaments that are happening in Japan, these guys are going to be your main choices for sure. I don't think that there are very many downsides to either deck, and that's what makes them S tier in my opinion. So if you found this video helpful, please go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and then go ahead and go over to my Twitch channel. I'll leave the link in description and follow me there. I'm still sorting out what my stream schedule is going to be. I may or may not be on tonight. I haven't really decided. I've got some other things in my life that I have to prioritize over Twitch, and I just got to make sure that all of that's straightened out before I make a set stream schedule. So just follow me, make sure you're getting the notifications that I go live. You'll know whenever I'm streaming. Then if you're not doing anything, go tune in and hang out. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, hope you liked this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.